Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to dive into the truly fascinating, multi-layered commentary of Tafsir-e-Namoona on Surah Al-Mu'minun. We're going on an incredible journey today. We're literally zooming from the deepest intricacies of human ethics all the way down to microscopic biology and then pulling all the way back out to the vastness of cosmic history. I'm super excited to guide you through this source material because it just beautifully connects our inner spiritual world to the massive, awe-inspiring universe around us. So here is our quick roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The ethical core, 2. The biological journey, 3. The cosmic ecosystem, 4. Noah and the flood, and finally 5. Arrogance and fallen civilizations. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The ethical core. Traits of true believers.
Okay, so we're starting at the most personal level imaginable. The opening verses of this chapter are basically framed as a masterclass in what it means to be a truly successful human being. And according to the Tafsir, true success isn't just about, going through the motions. It requires this profound humility, which is called khushu, combined with a complete avoidance of meaningless, distracting chatter known as lagov. Khushu is described as a state where you are so totally connected to the Creator that it literally manifests physically in your posture and your focus. And to maintain that intense focus in your everyday life, you have to turn away from lagov. You have to cut out the purposeless, frivolous stuff that distracts you from your ultimate goals.
Now, what's really fascinating here is exactly how the text links that deeply inner spiritual humility directly to tangible, everyday social responsibilities. Because you can't just be spiritual in total isolation, right? The commentary emphasizes that true believers are active in giving charity and purifying their wealth. They maintain strict personal chastity. They faithfully observe trusts, and that means everything from a secret a friend told you in confidence to a public office you might hold. They keep their promises and they strictly guard their prayers. These aren't just isolated personal habits. They are laid out as the absolute essential building blocks of a healthy, balanced society.
Moving right along to Section 2. The biological journey. Stages of human creation.
So from our moral core, the text now zooms all the way down to a microscopic biological level inside the womb. We're shifting from how we should act to how we're actually made. The text explicitly outlines these incredible biological steps of human development, progressing from a mere drop to flesh and bones. It starts with the nutfa, a quintessence in a secure resting place. Then it becomes a clot, the alaka, and a lump, the mudka. Next, the commentary highlights this remarkable detail. The bones form first, and then they are clothed in flesh. This intricate, layered construction of the human body is presented as an absolute masterpiece of design, which is wild to think about considering this was detailed long before the invention of the microscope.
But the crucial point here is the transition. The Tafsir heavily emphasizes how this physical assembly of bones and flesh culminates in something entirely beyond biology. It's a distinct spiritual milestone. The text refers to this final stage as another creation. It's not just another physical step added to the list. It is the breathing of the soul. This is the exact moment where the biological vessel is granted its unique human status. It's what gives us the immense capacities to actually handle the ethics and responsibilities we were just talking about.
All right, Section 3, the cosmic ecosystem, signs in nature.
From the microscopic world of the womb, the text now pulls us way, way back out to the planetary scale. We've seen the miracle within us, and now it directs our attention to the miracle around us. The commentary interprets the 7 tracks mentioned in the text as varying celestial levels, or planetary orbits above us. It's showing a vast, interconnected cosmic design. It points out that we are sitting beneath an incredibly complex, multi-layered universe. And whether this means different planetary orbits or entirely different realms of existence, the sheer scale is meant to remind us of one thing: the Creator is never unmindful of the creation.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the delicate balance of our ecosystem. It describes a water cycle that actually stores life-giving resources underground to nourish blessed plants, like the olive tree of Sinai. The Tafsir points out the absolute precision here. Water comes down in due measure. Not so much that it causes devastating floods, and not so little that it causes drought. It's perfectly stored in subterranean reservoirs for us to use years later, growing incredible resources like the olive tree, which gives us both food and oil. It is basically a perfectly calibrated life support system.
And it doesn't stop with plants. Even livestock are highlighted as profound signs of this grand design. They serve as part of a unified system that provides humanity with food, resources, and transportation. The commentary draws our attention to how these animals produce pure milk, provide meat, offer materials for our clothing and our homes, and carry our heavy burdens across the land, just like ships carry us across the sea. Everything is deeply interconnected, specifically designed to support human life and development.
Which brings us to Section 4, Noah and the Flood, the clash of prophets and elites. Having marveled at biology and ecology, the explainer now shifts us into the vast timeline of human history. We're moving from the physical laws of nature to the moral laws of human civilization, and we see this immediately in the conflict of Noah. Noah invites his people to humility, but the arrogant, wealthy elites, who are referred to in the text as the Mala, completely reject him using these totally baseless accusations. Noah brings a clear, logical call to worship one creator and live an ethical life. But the elites, they're terrified of losing their power and their luxurious lifestyle, so they attack him personally. They say he's just a regular human, that he's secretly plotting to rule over them, and finally, they just flat out call him crazy. They rely on insults because, well, they have no actual argument against his message.
And we all know how the story goes. The Tafsir recounts how Noah is instructed to build an ark, which leads to a massive flood that completely washes away the oppressive elite class. Despite the relentless mockery, Noah is guided to build this massive ship. The text uses this really striking imagery of an oven boiling over with water. It's as if the very earth itself rebelled against the corruption of the elites. Those who possessed humility were saved, while those who relied solely on their wealth and status were entirely wiped out.
Which perfectly sets up our final section, Part 5, Arrogance and Fallen Civilizations, the Cycle of History.
You see, Noah wasn't just a one-time historical event. It established a recurring pattern. This timeline tracks the succession of messengers mentioned in the text, tracing the rise and fall of empires from Noah to the people of Thamud, to Moses challenging Pharaoh, all the way up to Jesus. The commentary explains how God continually sends guides to humanity. But time and time again, the ruling classes, whether we're talking about the elites of Thamud or the Pharaoh of Egypt, they react with the exact same arrogance. They look at the prophets and say, "Shall we believe in mere humans like ourselves?"
So what we're really looking at here is a striking psychological contrast. On one side, you have the profound humility required of the believers. On the other, the blinding arrogance of leaders like Pharaoh, who just scoffed at the idea of being led by mere mortals. The text paints a very vivid picture of this divide. The elites are so completely immersed in their worldly luxury, and they're so used to exploiting everyone else, that the very idea of submitting to a higher moral authority is repulsive to them. They deny the hereafter simply because acknowledging it would mean they actually have to answer for their crimes.
And so, based on this commentary, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the fatal flaw that repeatedly brings these mighty empires crashing down? They had wealth, they had advanced architecture, they had immense worldly power. So what goes wrong every single time?
Well, the text interprets their destruction through this fascinating term, gatha. It explains that their relentless pursuit of luxury and their total rejection of the truth reduced their mighty empires to mere foam and scattered straw. It is an incredibly powerful metaphor. The Tafsir explains that just like the useless, frothy foam that floats on top of a flood, these arrogant civilizations ultimately have absolutely no substance. Once the divine punishment hits, like the heavenly blast that destroyed the mood, all that wealth and all that power instantly becomes as frail and useless as dead leaves washed away in a storm.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought from the text. The elites in this chapter endlessly mocked the idea of resurrection. They'd laugh and ask how dust and bones could ever be brought back to life. But as we saw at the very beginning of this explainer, the text argues that the Creator, who meticulously builds a human being from a single microscopic drop in the womb and who perfectly balances the vast, multi-layered cosmic ecosystem, well, that Creator is more than capable of bringing us back. So if history's greatest empires fell because their arrogance convinced them this fleeting physical world was all that mattered, how does our modern society measure up against the true scale of existence? The real question is, will we choose the path of humility, or will we end up as scattered straw? Thank you so much for exploring this incredible commentary with me today.